Sierra de Aras is located in the town of Lucena, in the province of Córdoba, which is located in Andalusia, and it is in Spain. Spain is a country of the European Union. Around the Sierra de Aras, we can observe many plots in which olive trees are grown. These plots are separated by each other by the path. If we look in the direction of Lucena, we can find the Cave of the Angel. If we look west and east, we can find several cottages. In this place, the most characteristic plant species are the following: olive trees. Practically the entire mountain range is surrounded by them, well preserved, and black hawthorn abounds in the mountain.
People of Lucena have a tradition. If you manage to tie a knot to the plant with just one hand, you will get married. On the other hand, we have the fauna, although it is very scarce. In the mountains, we can see snakes, rabbits, hares, eagles, and little owls. In the Sierra de Aras, olive cultivation is most extensive in most of the surrounding areas of Sierra. In the highest part of the Sierra, only scrubs, herbs, dry vegetation, and some trees remain due to the temperatures and the inclination of the land.
The grape harvest is the gathering of harvesting of grapes, generally referring to those that will be used for the production of wine or liquor.
The harvest period varies between August and October in the North Hemisphere. Once the mass is obtained, it will begin to turn into wine, thanks to the process that takes place in old stainless steel tanks at a controlled temperature, where their natural yeast remove the sugar from the grapes.
The Jews of Lucena maintained the vineyards, their wineries, and an expensive commercial network of wine and spirits, without the Christian conquest meaning a decline in cultivation, currently framed in the denomination of origin Montilla Morilla. Wine is an indispensable part, along with oil, of the rich Sephardic, Andalusian, and native gastronomy of Lucena.
In Lucena we find many wineries, but one of them is Mora Chacón de Lucena. Since 1864, Mora Chacón de Lucena has been a winery that short after its foundation became suppliers of Montilla Moriles wines for the Royal House of Spain. Since then, we have been supplying bars and restaurants of all kinds, distribution in the food and beverage sector, as well as nervous individuals.
The olive harvest season usually starts in November. Harvesting of the olive can be classified according to several factors. According to the workmanship, can be manual and mechanical. Depending on where they are concerned from, can be harvesting the tree or picked from the ground. And according to the harvest time, can be the greening or harvesting of raw olives.
The means of transport circulating in Lucena are car, bus, motorbike, and bicycles. Lucena currently has 3 bus lines that run through most of the city, passing through all the districts of the town. Lucena had a railway station belonging to the now defunct Linares Puente Genil line, which was built by the Andalusian Railway Company and put into service 1891. In 1941, facilities passed into the hands of Renfe after the closure of the line.
The road to the sanctuary begins at the gate of the town on the right over a stream, from which the road begins to slope gentle until it reaches the street of Lucena. The crossing is easy, as there is full signposting to the town, and there is not much of the road. We ascend along an open road, surrounded by olive trees and few kilometers from the Rome. We come to the Fuente de la Virgen. Little by little, we go up, and we see the sanctuary. For greater comfort, the road narrows, and finally, after a last household, we will pass very high ramp of about 100 meters that, not without a slight shock, will place us in the sanctuary.
Lucena as a popular science in the 19th century place of carpenter. The conference ceiling of the barrios of San Mateo and Santiago are the first activity example of the work of this carpenter. Their construction first at the beginning of the 17th century attacked Lucena. At the impulse of the region others, he recorded this carpenting competition. It didn't take long of the artifice to arrive at the Thames and leaving the corporation for the region territory and main of the Council of Trent. The part opened with the maintained altarpiece that paradised over the main carpet of San Mateo, the work of Juan Bautista Vázquez el Viejo and Jerónimo Hernández, marked the line of the other altarpiece, such as south of the Barrio of Carmen or that the San Francisco Cruz of the Mother of God.
The 18th century can be considered a golden age for the local carpentry guild. Along with the altarpieces, a vast set of doors, gates, and furniture is preserved as a sign of the expertise of the local workshops. Standard Castilian furniture served the growing demand of the tourist industry and reached an unimaginable height in the 70s. But changes stage forward the diversification of the furniture produced by abundant Lucentian factories. In the 19th century, the city had an extraordinary production of cereals and olives, tinagerie, furniture, glazed slab, and bronze. Actually, in Córdoba, there are about 760 companies production dedicated to the manufacture of furniture. Of all this tissue, approximately a 40% located in Lucena. In other words, we can count more than 300 companies in Lucena.
In the past, as the variety of products that could be persevered was very limited, when man managed to advance in agriculture and achieved abundant food production, he had to find a way to preserve them so they would not go to waste.
Thus, the older methods to produce cold appear, evaporation and ice. Already in the time of the ancient Rome, they used to bring down snow and ice from the high mountain and keep it well covered with wood and straw. There they called their meat vegetables and drinks.
The preservation of food has always been a necessity. That's why scientists around the world we are busy discovering systems to refrigerate products and preserve them for longer.
In 1824, Sadi Carnot defined the refrigeration cycle. In 1847, James Howlett defined the equivalent between mechanical work and heat. In 1859, Ferdinand Corte invented the first refrigeration machine using ammonia. In
1904, Richard Mollier represents the diagrams the transformation of gases. In 1920, the freon gas involved by Thomas Milke began to be used for refrigeration. The main system for obtaining cold are compression and absorption. The compression method is the most used and its operation is based on the so-called refrigeration cycle. The method for absorption is process similar to the previous one but in which the compression is achieved by the contribution of heat energy instead of mechanical.
The bellon is a metal oil lamp with one or more burners, which stands on one base and ends with handle at the top. The oil lamp was common in the 17th century. It is made in brass, in bronze and copper, and was intended for the lighting of the house. Now it has more decorative use. Its parts are a plate-shaped base, the tortero, a spherical body to contain the oil, the piqueras, the tapador, the camshades, and the remade. Its manufacturing starts with the melting of disused reused objects and ends with smoothing the bellon. The person who made the bellon was called a bellonero.
The Angel Cave refers to a set of cave structures located in the Sierra de Aras, at an altitude of 620 meters, belonging to the municipality of Lucena, in the province of Córdoba, Spain. Here is an excellent site that extends from the Middle Pleistocene to the Upper Pleistocene. Geological, paleontological, and archaeological evidence suggests that this site was inhabited extensively and continuously for a long period of time. The study of the numerous bones and lidded remains found with clear evidence of exposure to fire, along with the finding of an extensive and deep combustion structure, support the hypothesis that during this intense occupation there was a procession and consumption of large mammals.
According to tradition, in Rome, Don Luis Fernández de Córdoba and Pacheco, mayor of the Donceles Marqués de Comares, and lord of Lucena, at the beginning of 1562, was captivated by the beauty of the icon venerated in the Basilica of Santa Maria, in Aracoeli, with the patron saint of the city, of Rome, so much so he decided to commission an image of the Virgin Mary under the invocation of Araceli, which means altar of heaven. During the trip, when approaching Lucena, the horses that carried it were lost where the first cross is today, and appeared where the three crosses are, at the top of Sierra de Aras, where the sanctuary of Our Lady of Araceli is currently located. It happens in 1851. Its festivity is always the first Sunday of May.
At the top of Sierra de Aras, 863 meters high and 6 kilometers from Lucena, is the Hermitage of Nuestra Señora de Araceli. It is an amazing Baroque sanctuary that has the image of the patron saint of Lucena, Nuestra Señora de Araceli, brought from Rome by the second Marqués of Comares, Don Luis Fernández, in 1562. From the sanctuary, you can see the provinces of Málaga, Córdoba, Seville, Granada, and Jaén. Also, on sunny days, you can see the Moroccan coast. The building has grown around the church and is quite beautiful. The temple was built between 1600 and 1603, but it was renovated as early as the last quarter of the 17th century. The decoration is based on semicircular arches supported by Doric jaspers columns that separates the higher central nave from the lateral ones. The covers are formed by various vaults, the central one being decorated in blue, white and gold, with floral motifs and Baroque angels. However, there is a dome with a spectacular decoration. These decorations are some of the most outstanding of the Andalusian Baroque.
The Virgin leaves her hermitage at 3 noon on the shoulders of her centaurs, where the people wait for her to accompany her on her way singing the typical songs of her land. At 7 p.m. she arrives at the Puerta de la Mina, where she is greeted by her court of honor to accompany her during her festivities, after being given the bouquet of flowers by the ladies of the previous year. Finally, at 9 a.m., the rockets announce the Virgin arrivals in San Mateo. On the first Sunday of June comes the fun for the most important festivities we have in Lucena. At 7:30 a.m., our Virgin is in San Mateo, prepared to go up to heaven to her sanctuary. At that time, Mass begins, while in the Plaza Nueva, the Rosemary waits to accompany it. After that, Mad leaves San Mateo, and when she reaches the Puerta de la Mina, she is fired by the local authorities, and the santeros return her to look at her people and say goodbye to him until next year.
In this mountain, you can do several sports like paragliding, mountain bike, hiking, spelunking, and more. Paragliding is an extreme sport which consists of taking off from a high surface to fly, taking advantage of the air currents. The necessary equipment to practice this risky sport is also called paragliding, for example, the helmet, flying sail.
In the past, in the mountain, there were kart races, but that was so dangerous that today there are no more races. Currently, in Sierra de Aras, there are a lot of people practicing different sports. It doesn't care if you are not an expert. You can also have a wonderful day walking or running in this beautiful mountain.
The route from Lucena to the Sierra de Aras is usually done through a narrow local road that along its almost 6 kilometers will leave us at its summit. It is a path full of curves that surround the mountain to the sanctuaries of Our Lady of Araceli. About 2 kilometers within on its right bank a water bird called Fountain of the Virgin. It is a round pillow of piedra where we can stop on the road and cool off with its pure and crystal clear water. Right at this point on the left bank of the road there is a small route that we also leave us in Lucena, being in this case a totally dirt road between olive grove called El Caracolillo. Resuming our way at kilometer 3, we find the first cross, where you can already see the summit of the sanctuary. From this the path becomes more variable, and we will find on one side or the other stone crossing that will accompany us all the way, as well as the native vegetation of this hill.
El la entrada de Lucena me diste agua, bebé. En la entrada